It's December 2013. Here we are on stage with Roddy Radiation from the Specials. This is the second time. The difference between this and the first, I was 11 stone lighter. The band were playing festivals and a lot of our own material. But something had changed. I'd changed. Life was somehow different. Being in the communicators didn't seem to work anymore. I was going through this massive change that I didn't understand myself, so how could anybody else understand what I was going through? All I know is they didn't have that 23 stone bloke bouncing around the front of the stage. I was lost in my own skin. Ironic really, but somehow I had to give. In June 2012, I met a guy called Lawrence Brown, who helped me see that I just actually wasn't happy with life. For years I tried to be somebody else. For so many years I played a role that I thought everybody wanted. And he pointed out to me that the only person I ever needed to be was me. Life changed forever. And if that meant shedding people as well as weight, then that was what was needed. I embarked on a journey with him and dropped 11 stone. But not only did I drop 11 stone, I discovered that I wasn't this brash, loud, larger-than-life person that I portrayed so well at the front of the comms. I wasn't always happy. In fact, I was miserable. Life wasn't great. And I wasn't great either. So there I was, on this diet. A diet that I had joked in a communicator's website that I would drop 10 stone and said that I would do it as a sponsored diet. And if I dropped 10 stone, I would take in all the money and we would record the next album from it. But that is something I did. I dropped 11 stone. And I embarked on a journey of self-discovery, which only the people who have done the similar will understand the mental effects that you have to go through in order to get to that place. In that second lineup, that was when I did my diet. And people within the band were amazing all the way through. We played a load of festivals that year. We'd been gigging up and down the country and everything was going really, really well. And all the way through, I was on this shakes and soup diet. Turning up playing at Boomtown Festival, drinking coffee and water and milkshakes only was not something that would be recognised as the big Mitch that would front the communicators. But here he was, dropping weight and disappearing in front of everybody's eyes very publicly. In order to do this, you not only have to change physically, but first you have to change mentally. And I had to take a good long hard look at myself and discover why I got to that 23 stone figure in the first place. What Lawrence did teach me was that it was okay for me to not just be bouncing off the walls every 2 minutes. It was okay for me not to have a drink. And that was massive. I'd never ever felt that in my life. I wasn't sure how I was going to deal with it. So I dropped 11 stone. People seemed to treat me different. Not just audiences, but just people generally. And that annoyed me. And then in the one safe place that I had, which was on stage, when audiences started to react different to my banter, that threw me. Jokes I had made for the last 10 years on stage, which people had laughed at, were now calling me an arrogant prick. And they were the same jokes. I didn't understand. Until a friend of mine pointed out that I was now a threat. Threat to what? Just being me, but then me didn't fit anymore. So what did I do in that 6 years? Well, I apart from being a consultant and running my own business and helping people with addictions, working in a drug rehab unit and doing all these things that made me feel like I had some purpose in the world. Well, did I do anything musically? And the answer is yes. I can remember going to the studio and speaking to my good friend Ollie, who I had recorded and produced Carrying the Communicators with, and also we produced Bristol song together and Guns in Our Room. We'd pretty much written together, and I sat with him and said, I haven't got my outlet for my songwriting, my original songs and stuff, and I don't know what to do with it. And he said, well, just because you're not in the Communicators doesn't mean to say you can't be in a band, right? He said, but why don't you just be in a sort of virtual band? And I was like, well, what the fuck's that? And he said, well, you write the stuff, you play, you play guitar, blah, blah, blah. Why don't we just do it all together? Me and you, we'll write albums, put them out there, and if people like it, we can put a band around it afterwards if need be. I was like, okay, yeah, that sounds okay. Maybe, then I don't have to fall out with anybody and da. And there's on the way from my house on the way to Western, there's a road called Jarvis Lane. And I've always driven past there and thought that'd be a great name for a band, because it could be a solo artist, it could be a band, it's just got that thing, Jarvis Lane. And so I said, we'll be Jarvis Lane then. And I recorded a very personal autobiographical album called Great Expectations, which never really saw the light of day. And it's a shame, because it's, I have lots of influences, not just ska and two-tone, but bands like The Who, The Kinks, Small Faces, Blur, Oasis, and it was very much that guitar-y based sort of stuff, and I loved it. It was exactly what I needed, and I could sing songs about stuff that was personal to me, and it not be like, oh yeah, but where's the funny line? Where's the joke? Where's the punchline? And it's not quite enough. Whoops, I have a banana about it, and it was great because I got to get all this shit out of me. And we wrote 2 albums that was never seen, and we did a song called Hurricane, which was about me. Lawrence, who was the guy who I dropped all my weight with and stuff and helped me sort my head out, he always used to call me either superstar or rockstar. Hey superstar, hey rockstar. And I wrote this song called Hurricane, and it was about trying to explain to people who loved the COMMS and Big Mitch why there was no COMMS and Big Mitch anymore. And I had this thing, it's like, people don't get it, people don't understand that in order to drop 11 stone you need to change shit, and when you change that shit you can't just flip it back, because if you did you'll end up back up there, and I changed so much, and it was like, I can't teach, it's like trying to teach fishes what an aeroplane is, when how the fuck would a fish understand what an aeroplane is? Because if you said, well, it's this tube thing that humans fly through the air, and they'd be like, the air? What the fuck? They don't even see the fucking sky, so how would they even know what it is? And how would you explain to them what an airplane is? Anyway, I digress. But that was my whole thought process. Is like, these people are so not in that same place as me, and thank God that they can't possibly get it. And so that was, you can't teach the fishes about flying in an aeroplane, because they don't share your wishes about flying through a hurricane. The hurricane being this fucking mental journey that I was going on. And I wrote this song, and I'll put it on here so that you can hear it. But yeah, it was a great band, and I wish that we'd gone out and pursued it, because I think people would have loved it. But then maybe people would have just gone, what? It's not the COMMS. And it took me a long time, and the next episode of this documentary is about the reunion and how that happened and how it came about, so I won't go on too much about that here. But I spent the best part of 5 years writing about 100 songs for Jarvis Lane, some of which have now ended up communicator songs and or COMMS songs, as they were, and I love that because they're important songs to me and they mean a lot, and they're part of this whole rebrand. Some may not like it, some hardened lineup one Communicators fans might not like the COMMS, and I'm sorry for that, but that's just not who I am, and I don't even wish that it is who I was, because I changed. And one of the reasons that I resisted about coming back as the Communicators was this thing that people wouldn't get it. So that's why this documentary is really, really good to do, because it gives me a chance to sort of try and explain and show you all, that I love that stuff. I really do. And it's a massive part of me and my songwriting and everything I do. But it's not all of it, and where it was all of it before, and it's not now. I don't want to be madness. And, I think back then I wanted to be madness, and that's not the case. Madness, and I love them for it. Specials are the specials, and I love them for it. We're the COMMS, and I'm Mitch, and this is who I am. And do I hope you guys like what I produce? Yeah, of course. But for everyone that drops off, there'll be people. I've had messages from. I don't want to lose anybody, but I've had messages from people outside of the ska scene, from people saying, "I love that stuff. That song you did, blah, 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 is fantastic." And I don't think the COMMS are pigeonholable really anymore, because yes, there are songs that sound reminiscent of madness and that scene, but there are also songs that are reminiscent of other genres, other bands, etc., that sort of up until now probably have been a bit resisted because of things like our logo, the way we dress and stuff. It's hard to get away from the two-tone tribute band thing when we're all wearing suits and those type of glasses and those type of hats and what have you. And I had a really amazing chat with a friend of mine who is an unbelievably well-known record producer from back in the day in the 80s. And he pointed out a few things to me, which is why we've come to this conclusion to do the rebrand and everything else that goes with it. So, but that's a whole episode in itself. But in the 6 years that the COMMS were away, I recovered. I stopped being an addict of many things. I dropped 11 stone. I became an inspiration to lots of people. I've helped hundreds of people with addiction. I've helped hundreds of people with dropping weight. I've been very successful in life coaching, public speaking, and general counselling of people. And now I'm back in the COMMS. Or I'll rephrase that. And now I'm the singer of the COMMS, because there is no getting back in the COMMS, because the COMMS as they are now, it's never existed.